We're live, Jim.
That's good. Thanks, Chris. Well, I just want to take the opportunity to welcome the council members and staff and the members at large for the Middlesex County Library Board to our August 23rd, 2022 Middlesex County Library Board meeting. And I open it up by asking if there's any provisions for disclosure of any interest or any general nature thereof. Okay, seeing none, then I'll move down to the minutes. Item A3 is the minutes of May 24th, 2022 meeting of the Library Board. Is there any questions or comments with respect to those minutes as we presented? Seeing none, then I look for motion that the minutes of May 24th, 2022 meeting for the Library Board be approved as presented. Moved by Mary Gay, seconded by Brad Richards. For the comments, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I noticed when I spoke with Lindsay, we have no visioning topic because we do have a fairly heavy agenda with respect to action items. So we'll move right on to item 5A, which is early literacy in the home 2022 to 2023 and a contract, and Lindsay will walk us through this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a similar report come to you last year for this funding. So bringing it back again for the 2022-2023 contract year. So this is funding that was originally related to the National Child Benefit Supplement. Municipalities were directed to spend funds on community programs that were similar to programs covered by that original program. And in Middlesex County, this program is called Middlesex Supports, and it's managed by the Social Services Department. So that's where this funding comes to us from. So for the 2022-2023 program year, $2,500 have been allocated to the early literacy in the home program to be delivered by Middlesex County Library. Through this program, we work as well with Middlesex Children's Services Network, obviously early on, and Middlesex County Social Services to provide this these resources to our communities. Early literacy plays a key role in enabling the kind of early learning experiences that research shows are linked with academic achievement, reduced grade retention, higher graduation rates, and enhanced productivity in adult life. So under the last contract, library and early on staff worked to update this project, rebrand it, and update the materials that are included in these bags for distribution. The book bags include curated book selections, information from community community partners that support the development and well-being of infants and toddlers. And as well, library staff have received additional training to support how they distribute these bags in the branches. I'm going to be bringing more information about this project back to you in January. Nadine and Shauna will be doing like an annual report of our overall early years programs and projects. And this early literacy in the home project will be included in that. So we'll have more statistics. You'll be able to see the materials and some feedback about how the project has been going. But staff have worked really hard under the previous contract to update this and really make it more of a library program, whereas previously we were one partner amongst a few distributing these bags. So we're working to customize them for the library. So the recommendation before you is that a bylaw be introduced to authorize and approve the agreement between the Corporation of the County of Middlesex and the Library Board, and authorize the Chair and Director of Library Services to execute the agreement. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions with respect to this request? Okay, with this action item, then I would look for a motion to support that item 5A as per the motion that was read by Lindsay. Moved by Ruth. Need a seconder. Seconded by Warden Allison Warwick. Any further comments or questions on that? Okay, we've got the wording on it, so we're good. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next, we'll move to items 5B, which is Friends of Strathroy Library Reserve Fund. A report from Lindsay. Lindsay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's a bit of a bittersweet report for you. So the Friends of the Strathroy Library, they have long supported the Strathroy branch and, overall the library system. They've been a charitable organization since 1996. They organized our large biannual book sales that used to happen at Strathroy, one in the spring and one in the fall, and use that revenue to support different projects. So summer reading club programs, author visits. One of the bigger projects recently that they supported was the Wright Family Research Room, as well as supporting the purchase of different furnishings and technology for the Strathroy branch. So we received a request from them to help them with their kind of dissolution. So they have experienced some challenges with membership, particularly throughout the pandemic. We're really feeling that pinch, and as a group have decided that it's time to dissolve, but need to go through the process that they ensure that the funds that they have raised throughout the years are appropriately allocated to the Strathroy branch, so they can continue to support the library even while they are no longer actively fundraising. So as the report says, the Friends have made the decision to stop actively fundraising and must therefore take steps required by Canada Revenue Agency to dissolve and disperse their remaining funds. The County Treasury Department has advised that the creation of a reserve fund is the most appropriate course of action. As with other reserve funds, when it's appropriate to allocate funds for a project or a purchase specifically for the Strathroy Library, library staff will come back to the board, present their request for approval. So that's the formal process that will follow to ensure that these funds are always directed and supporting the Strathroy branch. So again, the Strathroy Library has greatly benefited from the support and work of the Friends, and the library appreciates the opportunity to continue to honor and recognize their generosity through the execution of this reserve fund. So the recommendation before you is that the establishment of a Friends of the Strathroy Library Reserve Fund account be authorized, that funds transferred from the Friends group be used solely to support the Strathroy Library, and also that a letter be sent to Canada Revenue Agency from the board confirming the creation of the reserve fund and affirming that the funds will be used solely for the purposes of supporting the Strathroy branch. I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, I got just a couple of comments, and I agree 100% because I think it's like a dedicated fund then for that library branch, and they were the ones that raised it, and it's unfortunate that they're not going to be, or they don't have the wherewithal or the I'm going to say the volunteers to continue. But with that, there was one item they did was a 2 book sales twice a year. Okay, and they retained a value for that out of that those sales. Are we going to do it internally then, Lindsay, for the disposal of the surplus books? Is that the idea?
Yes, through the chair to the board. So we actually just had a really successful sale in July that Liz and Shauna and a number of staff organized and supported. So it was held at the Kamoka branch. I think it was the last weekend of July. And, we had the help of some student assisted hours, got rid of a lot of our discarded books, so really successful, and it's definitely something that we're going to schedule regularly. And there's the potential to get volunteer support to help with the execution of those sales as well, whether it's teens who need the volunteer hours or adult volunteers that exist in the system. The best location was Kamoka for this sale, but it's something that could work in any of our program rooms, really. So we'll be developing a plan moving forward so that we continue to have that revenue that we were able to use for the system, and a way to have our books kind of leave our hands and have a second life with some families around the county.
Yeah, I just don't want to dwell on this, but I do think with moving it at different spots once in a while, it will make a difference. And it'd be interesting to see what kind of support you get for those sales. if you do happen to move it around throughout the county. But it's a chance to try it because you're going to have staff organize it with volunteers. So there's that. And the other thing was I was looking for any idea the type of funds that we're transferring here, the value roughly?
So so we had a lot of correspondence back and forth. One email did say 32,000. I haven't been able to confirm that amount. That was much more than I expected, but I will be confirming that obviously through this process, and I'll be able to give you an update because, yeah, I think we haven't had big projects for their funds to go towards in a few years. So I think the balance has built up over the past few years.
Right, and this could be used through numerous years, right?
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
you thought. Okay, well that's good, and I'm pleased to hear there's that kind of funds available. But and I'm sure the library there at the Strathroy Library use it wisely. So I like to see the trust they put in us with respect to that, and it's unfortunate they are not going to be able to continue. So is there any other questions with this? If not, then I look for a mover and a seconder for the motion that Lindsay described with that we establish a funds of the Strathroy Library Reserve Fund. It's along with exact wording that Lindsay used. Moved by Brad. Need a seconder. Second by Ruth. Further comments or questions? All in favor? It's carried. Next, we'll move to item 5C, which is Canada Community Revitalization Fund contract. Lindsay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So an exciting opportunity, some funding that we were successful at obtaining. So back in July 2021, library staff submitted an application to the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. This is a federal funding program through the Ministry of Economic Development, which supports two major streams of activity. So they encourage the adaptation of community spaces and assets so that they may be used safely in accordance with local public health guidelines, and build or improve community spaces to encourage Canadians to re-engage in and explore their communities and regions. So again, a bit of a pandemic relief program to encourage people to get out and about in their communities. So this funding package, when we applied, indicated that priority might be given to projects that encourage the participation of underrepresented groups and would take into consideration the unique challenges of rural and remote communities. So we waited patiently, lots of back and forth with the funders, which was always good, that we're kind of getting updates and providing more information on our application. And we received official notification in June that we would be receiving the funding. So this program is administered through the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, or FedDev Ontario. So we're getting up to $135,000 to provide to implement our Tales and Trails Connecting Our Community Through Storytelling project. So through this project, the library will enhance community trails and spaces in Middlesex County by installing durable, permanent storytelling display structures along accessible paths to showcase stories of diversity and belonging. The library intends to collaborate with different agencies throughout the county, representing groups and communities that experience discrimination and exclusion, including Indigenous communities, LGBTQ+ communities, newcomer families, people experiencing homelessness and housing instability, and people facing mental health and addiction challenges. So storytelling structures are very popular. A number of libraries have implemented these. I know there's some in Lambton that just got a refresh. You'll often take an existing, like a published book, like a picture book, and you'll put a page on each of these structures, and families and kids walk along the structures and read the stories. And so our twist on this is using these structures to showcase community stories. So connecting with people in our communities, and telling their stories in a really inviting way, so that we can learn more about each other, and kind of create that inclusion experience that we want for our communities. So I think that was hopefully one of the reasons why we were successful with this application. So the overall project budget is estimated to be at $180,000. the library, we've approached a number of local service groups to discuss supporting this project and gotten a lot of interest back. So we're in the process of confirming the details of that funding. So where donations are going to come from service groups as well. We have funds allocated within the library's existing operational budget. So staffing funds that are dedicated to programming, as well as program supply funds. So with those pockets of money, that's how we'll reach the 100% funding for this project without requiring any additional requests or funding beyond the existing library budget. So all local municipalities have been invited to participate in this program to ensure that these community stories reach across the county. So the goal is to have 8 of these storytelling structures, 1 in each municipality across Middlesex. We'll be working on agreements to put in place outlining the role of the library and the role of the local municipality regarding ongoing programming and support and maintenance of the structures. We have already begun working on our first theme, which will be stories of homelessness from our communities. Staff have conducted interviews with a number of community members experiencing homelessness and housing insecurity, giving them the opportunity to share their stories and illustrate what this experience feels like in Middlesex County. And so Josh, our community navigator, has been leading this work because he has the connections to people who are accessing the motel program right now through social services and other clients that he's helping throughout the county. And as well, we have Emily, who's our summer student through the Young Canada Works program. She's been assisting Josh, transcribing interviews and editing them, getting them ready for the storytelling structures. So this work is underway as well. We're working on the procurement process. So working with the legal department on the tender documents to get those out. And so the intent is to come back to you in September with recommendation for who the contract should be awarded to. And the signage and structures must be built by the end of December. So that's our timeline for getting structures built and then launching the storytelling program in the new year, likely. So the recommendation before you that a bylaw be introduced to authorize and approve the agreement between the Middlesex County Library Board and Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, as represented by the minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario for funding under the Canada Community Revitalization Fund, and authorize the Director of Library Services to execute the agreement. I'm happy to answer questions.
Yes. Okay. So we feel we'll be able to do it within the budget. That's what I'm at. I guess you'll know when you get the go for tender, but I know that you're scrambling for other forms of income to come in towards it. So, but you feel comfortable with that with the $180,000.
Yes, and we have had to go back and revise our plan because originally with kind of pre-pandemic pricing, we were looking at more storytelling structures, wanting to ideally put 2 in every municipality. And it's just not possible with the material costs and labor costs right now. So based on the kind of quotes that we worked on over the summer, we believe that the responses to the tender will come back and give us, totals that are within that overall 180,000 budget and allow us to put 8 of these structures up. If that's not the case, then, we will definitely be communicating with the with FedDev and you as well. But I think we're, that's our overall budget. We're not going beyond that amount. It'll just be a matter of how many structures can we get for that amount of money.
Yeah, no, I just like to ask as a point of interest. That's all, Lindsay. I'm sure that it'll be administered properly. So, is there any other questions then with respect to this request to sign this agreement and move forward with this project? I guess we should because we asked for it. So, you can't ask and then when you get it, not move forward. So, I'm just if I don't see any questions, then with it, I look for a motion to support item A 5C, which is item A and B, the authorizing and approval of the agreement and authorizing the director to execute the agreement. As printed, as Lindsay presented it. Is that moved by Brad? Is that right, Brad? Okay, I need a seconder. Warden Ellison, Ulrich, any further questions or comments? Okay, then all in favor? That's approved. Thank you, Lindsay. Now we'll move item 5E, which is Municipal Modernization Extended Access Project. The contract, the contract, Lindsay?
All right, I got my action items order mixed up here in my file.
Sorry. Take your time.
So this is another very exciting project. And again, funding that we applied for and were successfully awarded. So back at the 2021 AMO conference, it was announced that there would be a third intake to the Municipal Modernization program, and so the county put forth their applications in December. So through this intake 3, it follows the same format as previous intakes of this program, and it's split between implementation and third-party review streams. So as part of this intake, the county submitted applications for 4 projects, 2 projects for the implementation stream and 2 projects for the review stream. And the county received confirmation of funding for these projects in February 2022. So we have kind of briefly discussed this at a few meetings and throughout the budget process as well. But this report is to give you more information on what this project actually looks like for the library. So the library submitted an implementation stream application for library service modernization. Changing demographics are placing increasing pressures on rural communities, including the ability to provide essential services through the public library. In Middlesex County, our very successful library, comprehensive library strategy has helped us to address pressures and needs in our largest communities. But we still do, experience those challenges, how to expand service in our smallest and most rural areas, branch areas around the county. At these locations, public service open hours are not always convenient for the community. When we look at our basic branches, they're open 8 to 12 hours a week, which is challenging to structure those in a way that works for everyone. And valuable resources, so our collections, our computers, our spaces are unused most hours of the day. So when we applied for this funding, we proposed the implementation of a library technology service that incorporates the use of technology to support greater community access to library resources and services while complementing existing staffed hours. So expanding on that service, not taking anything away. Through the implementation of this system, Middlesex County Library will add what we're calling extended access service hours, while leveraging existing resources and combining them with state-of-the-art technology to modernize the library's service delivery model. And through the Municipal Modernization Funding Program, the library will receive up to $66,144 to support this project. So more details about what this actually looks like. To execute this project, the library proposes to use a product called Openplus from Biblioteca, which is a library vendor. And this is the sole source for this system, which is customized for library use. So Openplus is a controlled access system that integrates with our existing library system, so our database, our library cards, and grants patrons access to designated library spaces outside of current staffed hours. So I'm just going to share some pictures of what it looks like so that you're not just looking at me, you're looking at what this system is actually going to look like. Get up the right report here. So before you are some photos of how this system is implemented in the Essex County Library, so specifically the McGregor branch. So this is what Openplus looks like to a user. It's a keypad with a little screen, a way to scan your library card, Here at McGregor, it exists on the outside of the building. I think this library is part of a community center, as well at the interior entrance. So again, Openplus grants patrons access to library space outside of staffed hours. Openplus complements those staffed library hours, creating a more convenient and accessible community hub experience. Openplus allows libraries the flexibility to extend access to spaces, resources, and collections in a way that best meets the needs of the community and the library space. And it's customizable space that can be adapted to any library. So you'll see it here in Essex. This is a larger branch. What we're proposing is implementing it at a smaller branch, but it can be equally successful and easily implemented at any size branch. So this is how you get in, but there are steps that patrons have to follow before they're granted access to this extended access program. So a patron who's interested in using the library outside of current staffed hours has to go through a process to be approved. So there will be an application process, documents that patrons have to sign off on, terms and conditions, things that they're agreeing to be able to access this enhanced service. So once they're approved, that access is granted through their library card, and they just use their card to get into the building. So scanning the barcode scanner, entering their PIN number, and the welcome screen welcomes them into the library, and it's integrated with an electronic lock system. And like I said, part of this process is ensuring that patrons are aware of what they're agreeing to and what the expectations are of them while accessing this service. So things like children need to be accompanied by an adult or a family member. A person who has access to the library in this way can't just bring a friend with them. Everyone who accesses the library has to go through this approval process. And then there's other terms and conditions to ensure that patrons are safe and that library spaces are safe through this program. So this are a few more photos of what the system looks like in Essex. So it's all the regular library services that everyone comes to expect during staffed hours. And then there are elements that integrate with this Openplus system. So in order to offer extended access, Openplus integrates with other elements like security systems, electronic door locks, security gates, security cameras, RFID enabled gates and technology. So this will connect to this larger RFID project that we're still working on for the library system, and self-checkout stations. So this photo in the middle is an example of a self-checkout station here in Essex. A help phone is available where this system is implemented. So that's up here in the right-hand corner. So this phone will ensure that anyone who uses extended access hours can connect to staff at another location. So anytime these hours are offered at this designated branch, patrons will be able to pick up this phone and connect with a staff member if they have problems using their card, problems accessing a certain collection as well. It's an emergency phone as well in case there is any emergency situation where they need to call 911 or something. So there's those safety procedures in place. Down here at the bottom, it's basically a picture of a network room, but this shows that there is this back-end system that allows offsite staff to manage Openplus while not being physically in the branch. So there's the system is there to help monitor the space, analyze usage of this program, and provide support as needed. And so, like I said, extended access service hours will always be scheduled to ensure that there's that oversight and support in place. I'm just going to stop sharing those photos for now. So library staff have identified the Coldstream branch as the optimal site for this pilot project. So current open hours are limited. We have 12 open hours at the Coldstream branch. But community support and use of the library is very high. So looking back at our pre-pandemic circulation statistics, they really demonstrate that Coldstream is the busiest of our branches at the basic branch level, and growth in and around the Coldstream area suggests that use of the library will only increase over the coming years. So after discussing with Coldstream library staff, with Middlesex Center staff, we are really confident that implementing this extended access service in Coldstream will enhance the delivery of library services and positively impact the community while maintaining the current level of staffed hours. So those 12 hours won't change, as well that integral support provided by the branch supervisor and other staff who work in the branch. We anticipate adding 10 to 15 extended access hours to the schedule at the launch of this service. So that's kind of our starting point. And that will effectively double the level of access to the library space, technology, and collections. So as I said, this system has been successfully implemented in Essex at the McGregor branch. It's being used in Hamilton as well. And I know a number of other library systems are looking at this as a good option for both rural and urban library sites. Using municipal modernization funding for this project gives us that unique opportunity to expand direct service delivery within the existing library budget by funding technology. So we all know that you don't typically get grant money that funds operations. It's funding technology, it's funding capital projects, but this is a unique opportunity where we can purchase technology that then in turn creates additional open hours that are supported within the existing staffing and operational budget. So it's a really unique opportunity to maximize our current resources and take advantage of this additional funding. And overall, Openplus allows the library to continue on our journey of innovation, which you all have supported, while at the same time providing exceptional value to the community of Coldstream. So the recommendation before you is that the attached quotation be approved and the Director of Library Services be authorized to execute the service agreement and any other documentation necessary to purchase the Openplus system from Biblioteca. I'm happy to answer any questions as well. Amy Sparzinski is here with us this morning because she's going to be leading this project as we move forward with it as our technical services coordinator. So we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lindsay. The only question I had when you're going through it was the hours, but the hours are only going to be when another branch is open so that staff's available at any time. So it's not like a 24/7 thing. When I first read it, that's what I kind of thought, but it's only when staff's available to help out should they get in any trouble within that Coldstream library.
Exactly, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and that's a really important aspect of it. It's not just open access free for all kind of to the branch when no one is there. There's always that connection to another branch. And as well, it was an important consideration that Middlesex Center pointed out that increasing open hours also impacts the work that they do and how they support the branch. So making sure that parking lots and sidewalks are cleared and making sure that the buildings are cleaned and that it aligns with the current cleaning schedule. So that's why we'll be working with them as well as Leslie Ann, the branch supervisor, on how those 10 to 15 hours will best be allocated. And like I said, that's a starting point through this pilot project and could expand and change based on what the community needs.
But further to that, though, any person that wants to get that access would understand the hours they'd be able to use it. So will you be clear on that? So it'd be no misunderstanding when it comes time to use it and so on. That's all.
Absolutely. And that's where the management system of Openplus allows you to make the branch inaccessible during other hours. So the system lets you set up that a person's card is only going to grant them access between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And any other time they try to scan their card, it's not going to work. It's not going to unlock the locks.
Okay, that's good, because that was the only security I was concerned about. I'm going to open up the rest of the committee. Is there any questions with respect to this and how we're moving forward with an open access? Mary Gay.
Thank you, Chair Mosley. Not really a question. But just a comment, I'm really excited for the people of Coldstream. I think this is an amazing project, and look forward to hearing about it once it's implemented down the road, how successful, or, any issues that need to be ironed out. I guess my one question would be, I do have a question, Chair Mosley, if I could. Is there much foot traffic to that library? Or do you know, Lindsay?
I think, it is primarily people driving there, but every time I drive through Poplar Hill Coldstream, there's always people walking, because it is a good road to walk on. It does have like the paved shoulder. So I think more families are moving in, and especially obviously in good weather, that is how they get to the library. It's, it might be 70% driving, 30% walking, something like that.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm excited for them. I think it's a great project. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Any other questions then with respect to this? Okay, with no hands going up, then I look for a mover and a seconder for that the attached quotation be approved, and the Director of Library Services be authorized to execute it as per how Lindsay explained it and laid out the wording. Moved by Mary Gay. I need a seconder. Ruth. Any further comments or questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Now we're going to move through correspondence and information items. And if you've got any questions, you can ask me, but I'm going to ask Lindsay to comment on two items, 6E and 6F. So when we get to them, Marcy?
Chair Mosley, I think we may have missed 5D, the disconnecting from work policy.
Whoa. 5. Geez, we did. I got it right here. Nope, 5D. Okay. And that's one I wholeheartedly agree with. So item 5D, the disconnection of work policy, our HR policy 1.16. And there's a report from Lindsay. Lindsay, you want to speak about that? Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yes, last action item, pretty simple and straightforward. So this is a policy that was developed by the county HR director and has already been approved and adopted by Middlesex County Council back in May. But it was brought up at our last library board. A member did ask, were we going to have this policy, and kind of what would the impact be to the library? So I thought it was appropriate to make sure that you have the chance to see it, review it, and ask any questions. Again, it's a requirement for all workplaces and is already been adopted and is being implemented for the library. When it was passed, I did follow up with staff because I know that there were some questions about how does this relate to library schedules and library work versus, which is more like retail hours versus office 9 to 5 hours. I answered questions that supervisors might have about, well, what if I'm filling a shift? Am I allowed to contact a staff member outside of regular hours? And really, this policy does a great job at helping people set appropriate boundaries and communicate those boundaries so that everyone's on the same page about when it's appropriate to contact, when you're required to answer an email or a text, and when you're not required and will not have the threat of reprisal. And so made it clear to staff that there's still those emergency situations where a supervisor might be contacted. I'm the default emergency contact when I'm not available. Either Liz or Amy is my deputy and available for those situations, but there are still situations where a supervisor may be contacted outside of work hours, and that's part of their job and responsibility. But I think, like I said, this policy nicely communicates to staff kind of the conversations that they should be having with each other, supervisors and their staff, about what is appropriate communication, what are appropriate expectations, so that we're following this policy. And so the recommendation there is that Middlesex County disconnecting from work policy, HR policy 1.16 be adopted, and that the Middlesex County Library Policy Manual be updated.
Anybody have any questions with respect to this policy update? If not, I look for a mover and a seconder for that motion that Lindsay just read. Moved by Brad, seconded by Warden Allison Warwick. For the comments, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And thanks for pointing that out to me, Marcy. I just going through on the paper here. Now we'll go back to the correspondence and information items, and we'll deal with item 6A, which system internet 2022 and back to 2021. Any questions? And then we'll move with system circulation 2022 to back to 2021. And then we'll do a social media activity, June, July of 2022. Then we'll deal with news articles, June to July 2022. Then we'll deal with the report that Lindsay gave us with the library activity report. Lindsay, I'll just highlight on that one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a few things that we've been working on since our last meeting. We worked with County Social Services. So Joe Windsor, the manager of social services, indicated, an opportunity to offer community members and most specifically social services clients greater access to COVID vaccinations, being that transportation is often a barrier. So we worked with Joe and with Middlesex London Health Unit to put together vaccination clinics at 6 branches in June. Really successful. So MLHU reported that 140 residents were vaccinated, and particularly in Lucan and Park Hill, probably about 2/3 of that 140 people accessed the Lucan and Park Hill clinics. And so definitely a great partnership and worked out really well in June. And, the library is definitely on board if future clinics should be offered at our locations as we move into the fall and winter. Because it was a great opportunity to bring that service even closer to some of our residents. Soundproof Pods. So this is another project with social services using supported by the Social Services Relief Fund. So again, something that I've mentioned before, but we are getting closer to the pods actually being in our branches. They should be delivered by the end of the month, fingers crossed. They are coming from overseas, so they were on a shipping container for a number of weeks. And so those will be installed in the Elsa Craig, Kamoka, and Thorndale branches, and they'll feature video conferencing technology to help support virtual meetings with people in the county connecting to service partners and community agencies. The unit that goes to Elsa Craig will be a single person pod. It kind of looks like a telephone booth. And then the units in Kamoka and Thorndale can fit up to 4 people. And the IT department has secured the technology for all of these units. So it's touch screens and the peripherals. So those will be installed once the units are delivered. And hopefully, I think it would be great if we could organize a bit of a road trip in the fall to go out and see them, because it's been a while since I'm not sure we've done a road trip in this board term yet. So seeing those in action, I think would be great. So I'll come back to you to talk about that in September or October once they're all set up and ready to go. We've been supporting Ukrainian families and newcomers to the county. So we had an open house at the Strathroy branch in July, really successful. A number of service partners, helped create this event and connect with the families and individuals who are new to our area from the Ukraine. And out of that event came a need for children's programming. So early on has been running weekly play and learn sessions for Ukrainian families and caregivers throughout this month. And so those have been opportunities to, participate in story times, but also connect with early on staff, connect with other families, and form those social connections, which are so important. We purchased a few picture books to help support this program, which was an interesting challenge, trying to find those English Ukrainian translations Amazon was our only option, but I think they've worked out pretty well so far. So then we'll be looking to the fall to see what the need is. We know that a lot of families, some of the kids will be going back to school. So we're waiting to see what this program might develop into the fall, but it's been really successful so far. School supply drive, we're accepting donations until September 2nd at a number of branches for the best first day. And all the supplies are listed there, and there's lots of promotion on social media to get these donations coming in. And then just a couple notes about staffing. So I did mention the Young Canada Works program. So we were successful in receiving that funding for one position this summer. Our summer student, Emily, she's, I think this week is her last week. So we will be very sad to see her go, but she's been working on the storytelling project, as well as supporting our overall summer reading program. So that's been really, it's been fantastic to have her help and support with those projects. And then overall, we continue to experience some COVID-related staffing challenges, absences that are going to come and go as we know. So we're in the process of hiring 3 new casual branch assistants to try to build up that kind of backbone layer of support for our schedules. So those positions will have 1 regular shift at a branch and then be available to fill in and help fill those gaps that exist due to COVID, but also just regular vacation requests and other absences. And as well, we have a few parental leaves, which are always exciting, but that means a lot of people are kind of shifting around the system over the next few months. And then we likely have a few student assistants who will be moving on at the end of summer, filling those gaps. So lots of staffing work is happening behind the scenes. And that's all I have to report there.
Thank you. Any questions with respect to that report? And then we'll move on to community connection update, item 6F. Lindsay.
Yeah, so the latest update, it focuses a lot on safety, different elements of safety that families have to manage. So the newsletter, which is for staff use and for the public, so it talks about so that staff can answer these questions when families come in asking about, where there's a car seat clinic or bike safety course or that sort of thing. And then on page 4, we have our community connector impact story, which is an opportunity for staff to talk about someone that they've helped in the branch. So this story comes from Doug, our supervisor of the Elsa Craig and Park Hill branches, and it was about a digital literacy request. So something that library staff are quite familiar with, how to help families figure out safe internet practices and things like that. This was an opportunity for staff to do some research, help that family, and then share those resources with other branch staff so that they can handle those questions themselves.
No questions with respect to that. Then I look for a motion that items 6A to 6F be received for information. Moved by Ruth, seconded by Brad. For the comments, all in favor? That's carried. Under inquiries, I don't know this spot to ask it, but when we were doing the Friends of the Library, I just, Middlesex County Library Boards really benefited from the Friends of the Library for Strathroy Care Doc. And I wonder if it's not appropriate that we send them a letter from our board to the Strathroy Friends of the Library and really just thanking them for all the effort they put in for all the years. And because it really has been a benefit towards that library. So I think it should come from our board, and we should tell them that we do appreciate what they've done and really just in the service they've made towards the community. So I was thinking about that as soon as we got off that library item, but I don't know at what point I bring it in now or under new business.
I think that's great, and I'll definitely work on that letter, and I'll run it by you before I send it out to them. That's a great idea.
Any problem with that from any board members? Good. Okay, thank you. That's just what I had with a thought after we got through that discussion. Now we'll move on to new business. Item 8A is our next meeting is September 27th, 2022. Any other new business? Marcy.
Just have to unmute. So I just wanted to update the board. Lindsay and I have talked. I'm going to be taking a report to County Council at our first meeting in September to potentially move some of these, our November meeting. Lindsay, can you confirm those dates?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of back and forth. We were trying to figure out the schedule. So I think what we're gonna, what seemed to work best for our budget schedule and everything was to cancel the October meeting. Then the November meeting would be November 8th. And then we'll have a meeting at the beginning of December, like probably around the 5th or something like that. So November 8th, I'll bring the draft budget, and then the December meeting, you'll be able to approve it as per our usual schedule. I think that's what we're going with.
Yes, so I just wanted to, I know maybe some of the board has some travel plans or other things going on in October, so I wanted to flag that meeting as potentially going to move to December. And then the other thing I wanted to just let you know, when we do start recruiting for the upcoming term, I will let everyone on the board know when that process is going to begin. We're talking about it at County Council next Tuesday.
Hey, just a question then. The December meeting, it'd be prior to the new council being sworn in?
Yes, so this board would continue until the new appointments are made in December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just on that, I did confirm with someone from Ontario Library Service that this board is able to approve the budget, even though the board may change next year, but that it's still appropriate. That's part of how you're functioning. So I think our meeting might be December 6th, and then so then that's when the new council is sworn in after that, I think. Yes,
the new council, the new board appointments we anticipate will be made December 13th.
Good. Any questions then with respect to that or the moving of the date? So our October meeting will not be involved at all, and we'll move it to December. We got a November meeting too, though, haven't we? Yes. Okay. Any other questions then with respect to that under new business? And then we'll move to the bylaws. We have 3 bylaws. Bylaw 9A, which is number 23, a bylaw to authorize the agreement with Middlesex County and the early on? What's the rest of the wording of that one? Just the early.
For the early years program.
Early years program. Thank you. And the next one is 9B, which is number 24, a bylaw to authorize an agreement under the Canadian Community Revitalization Fund. And item 9C, which is bylaw number 25, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of August 23rd, 2022, the meeting of the library board. I look for a mover or seconder for first and second reading. Moved by Mary Gay, second by Brad. All in favor? It's carried. Now I look for a mover and seconder for third and final reading. Moved by Ruth, seconded by Allison Warden Warwick. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Now, just before we adjourn, I just want to thank Marcy publicly for helping me with the Warden's Picnic. Did an excellent job. She was, and the other thing, what I like best of all, she did guarantee good weather. So can't get any better than that. So I want to publicly thank you for that, Marcy. I mean, it's easy to say thanks, but most of the time it goes unnoticed. But this is definitely noticed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to adjournment. I look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Warden Allison Warwick, second by Ruth. Any further comments?